Headlines flash across screens worldwide, capturing the attention of millions. The world is on edge as the news spreads like wildfire. Washington slaps tariffs on 200 billion of Chinese goods. Markets shudder, sending ripples through the financial world. Businesses freeze. Caught in the crossfire of a brewing economic storm, Beijing retaliates instantly with tariffs on U.S. imports, signaling a fierce response. The stakes are high, and the tension is palpable. This isn't just another trade spat. It's a declaration. The world's two largest economies are in open conflict, a clash that could reshape global dynamics. The old rules are gone, a new uncertain era begins, casting a shadow over the global financial district. The air is thick with uncertainty. The global order, built over decades, is being rewired in real time. Supply chains reroute, alliances strain, and the world watches as the balance of power shifts. Nations are forced to choose sides, navigating a complex web of alliances and rivalries. The geopolitical landscape is more divided than ever. The impact is everywhere, from Southeast Asian factories to South American farms and European boardrooms. The ripple effects are felt in every corner of the globe. The stability that once defined the global economy has vanished, replaced by volatility and unpredictability. Investors watch anxiously as markets fluctuate wildly. The world is watching, waiting to see who will write the rules for the next generation. The outcome of this conflict will shape the future. The showdown has begun, and there's no turning back. As military ships patrol the seas and leaders strategize, the world holds its breath, anticipating the next move in this high-stakes game. It wasn't always this way. For decades, the US and China were partners in globalization. American companies flocked to China for cheap labor, fueling a boom that made goods affordable for families back home. China's economy soared, lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty and transforming cities into global powerhouses. The arrangement seemed perfect. China made, America bought, and both prospered. China reinvested its earnings in US debt, keeping interest rates low and financing American spending. This deep interdependence was seen as a guarantee of stability, too big to fail. Washington hoped economic engagement would make China more open and democratic. For a while, it looked like it might work. But beneath the surface, tensions were building, setting the stage for conflict. The golden era faded, its promise of shared prosperity slipping quietly into the shadows. Once, bustling American factories symbolized the strength of a partnership that seemed unbreakable. But as the years passed, the glow dimmed. Cracks began to appear in the US-China partnership, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Diplomatic smiles masked growing unease as both sides sensed the shifting ground beneath their feet. In America, the closure of factories and the loss of countless jobs fueled a deep sense of resentment. For many, the dream of globalization had turned into a nightmare, its benefits feeling increasingly out of reach. Communities that once thrived on manufacturing were left hollowed out, their futures uncertain. The trade deficit with China ballooned to historic levels, becoming a symbol of imbalance and lost opportunity. Each year, the gap widened, stoking fears about America's economic future. Critics grew louder, accusing Beijing of unfair practices, currency manipulation, government subsidies, and widespread intellectual property theft. Headlines warned of counterfeit goods flooding U.S. markets, and investigations uncovered a web of economic tactics that seemed to tilt the playing field. In Washington, optimism gave way to suspicion and frustration. Politicians debated fiercely, questioning whether the partnership had ever truly been equal. The sense of trust that once existed was replaced by doubt and wariness. Meanwhile, China was transforming rapidly. No longer content to be the world's factory, it set its sights on global leadership in high-tech industries, robotics, artificial intelligence, and green energy. Ambition replaced humility, and innovation became the new national mantra. Under Xi Jinping, China grew more authoritarian and assertive, projecting its power far beyond its borders. Military parades and territorial disputes signaled a new era of confidence, and the world took notice. The hope that China would gradually become more like the West, embracing openness and reform, began to fade. Western business leaders, once optimistic, now left meetings in Beijing with disappointment and uncertainty. The era of cooperation ended abruptly, replaced by open rivalry. Trade wars erupted, tariffs soared, and both nations dug in for a prolonged struggle. The very foundation of the relationship collapsed, leaving both sides searching for new footing in a world that suddenly felt less predictable. The stage was set for confrontation, with each side preparing for a contest that would shape the future of the global order. The chasm between the two giants had become impossible to ignore, a vast and growing divide, with storm clouds gathering on the horizon, signaling that a new, uncertain era had begun. The world watched as tensions between the United States and China reached a boiling point with the election of Donald Trump. His rise to power marked a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy, signaling the end of an era of cautious engagement and the beginning of open confrontation. Trump's rhetoric on the campaign trail was tough, promising to put America first and to challenge what he called unfair trade practices by China. Once in office, his administration wasted no time. Sweeping tariffs were imposed on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, igniting a full-blown trade war that sent shockwaves through the global economy. The message was clear: the U.S. would no longer tolerate what it saw as economic aggression from Beijing. The strategy was simple but risky: make Chinese imports more expensive for American consumers and businesses, hoping to force Beijing to change its economic policies. But the impact was felt at home too, as prices on everyday goods began to rise, and uncertainty rippled through markets. China didn't back down. Instead, it retaliated with tariffs of its own, targeting key American industries like agriculture. U.S. farmers, especially those in the Midwest, suddenly found themselves on the front lines of a global economic conflict, their livelihoods threatened by falling exports and volatile markets. When Joe Biden took office, many wondered if the approach would change, but the new administration doubled down, keeping tariffs in place and reframing the rivalry as a battle between democracy and autocracy, a contest not just of economies, but of values and systems of government. The U.S. began to strengthen its alliances, working closely with partners in Europe and Asia to present a united front. New restrictions were placed on China's access to critical technologies like semiconductors, aiming to slow Beijing's rise in high-tech industries and protect American innovation. The relationship had shifted irreversibly. What was once a partnership built on mutual benefit had become a rivalry defined by suspicion and competition. The era of cooperation was over. The era of confrontation had begun. The trade war, it turned out, was just the opening act. It set the stage for a much broader, long-term strategic competition, one that would play out in boardrooms, laboratories, and diplomatic summits around the world. Today, the world finds itself increasingly divided into two camps, each led by a superpower with its own vision for the future. Nations everywhere being forced to choose sides, as the US and China vie for influence across continents and industries. The old era, marked by optimism and the hope of peaceful integration, is fading into history. The rapid transformation of cities and economies reflects a world in flux where past agreements and understandings no longer hold. Now, new rules are being written in real time. Policymakers, business leaders, and technologists are all scrambling to adapt, knowing that the decisions made today will shape the global order for decades to come. The stakes could not be higher. At risk is nothing less than the future of the global order, the rules, norms, and institutions that have governed international relations for generations. As military posturing and diplomatic tensions continue to rise, one thing is clear: this confrontation is not a passing phase. It is a defining feature of our time, and it is here to stay. Under pressure, China pivoted. The old export-driven model was now a vulnerability. Beijing launched the dual circulation strategy: keep trading globally, but make domestic consumption the main engine of growth. The goal: economic self-reliance, less dependence on foreign markets and technology. If the world won't buy China's goods, China will buy its own. Foreign companies wanting access to China's vast market must play by Beijing's rules. This is a fundamental rewiring of China's economy. The motto is no longer export or die, but grow from within. The success or failure of this strategy will shape the global economy for decades. China is betting its future on itself. China's plan is bold: turn a nation of savers into a nation of spenders. The government is building infrastructure, expanding healthcare, and improving pensions to boost consumer confidence. The aim: get people to spend, not just save. Domestic brands are rising, fueled by national pride and innovation. The Guochao movement sees young consumers choosing Chinese products over foreign ones. China's middle class is now larger than the US population, with enormous spending power. If China succeeds, it will become the world's biggest consumer market. This shift could redraw the map of global economic power. Companies worldwide will have to adapt or be left behind. The world's economic center of gravity is moving east. China's transformation faces serious challenges. A real estate crisis threatens growth, with millions savings tied up in property. Youth unemployment is soaring, leaving a generation anxious about the future. The population is aging and shrinking, straining the social safety net, and shrinking the workforce. These headwinds make it harder to boost domestic consumption. The risk: China could grow old before it grows rich. The government is scrambling to manage these crises while pushing its economic pivot. The world is watching. Can China overcome its internal struggles? The outcome will determine if China's bid for economic leadership succeeds. The stakes are high, and the clock is ticking. As US markets close, China is building new alliances. It's leading trade blocs like RCEP and investing in Asia, Africa, and South America. The Belt and Road Initiative is reshaping global infrastructure, connecting China to the world. Critics warn of debt traps, but many nations see opportunity. China is creating new supply chains and financial institutions, challenging Western dominance. It's offering an alternative model: development without Western political demands. This is a long-term play to reshape the global order. China is building a new world, one deal at a time. The fiercest front in the US-China rivalry is technology. It's not just about smartphones, it's about who controls AI, quantum computing, and advanced chips. The US has blacklisted Chinese tech giants, aiming to cripple Beijing's ambitions. China is pouring billions into building its own tech industry, seeking independence from Western technology. The result: a looming tech decoupling, with two separate digital ecosystems. Countries may soon have to choose sides in a divided digital world. The stakes are enormous. Whoever wins this race will shape the future of the global economy and society itself. The world watches, holding its breath. The outcome will define the 21st century. The battle is on, and there's no turning back. The future is up for grabs.